Hey, welcome to Cultivating Clarity. We're your hosts, Halle and Jimena, and this is where your journey to self-discovery and fulfillment begins. In each episode, we're going to explore the worlds of creativity, purpose, and community to bring you inspiring stories and practical advice on how to live a life true to yourself. So let's get intentional, let's be vulnerable, but most importantly, let's have some fun along the way.
I guess the message that we want to share today is another level of that intentionality and listening to and noticing the rhythm of our lives and paying attention to what is needed, right? And Jimena, you just shared with me a couple of quotes that were just beautiful about being intentional and about what community looks like. So can you just share those?
We always talk about these subjects, and I love how much we have like this opportunity of learning, not just talking about them, but learning together. And I found myself stopping after a long time of go, go, go. And I read these words. To be intentional is to place value and care, is to pause, is to pay attention and honor someone, something, or a specific season. When I read these words, I was thinking about like the fact that the most expensive thing that I have is my life, is my time.
Yeah.
And I want to be able to offer that to those next to me and around me, in front of me. I was sharing with you that my season is changing, and one of the people that I love the most is on a journey to heaven. And I don't want to miss it. I want to be present. I want to be available. And the conversations that you and I have always been so deep and grounding and beautiful, and they've always helped me so much to process every season. And I feel like I was reminded of the importance of this when I read that quote and when I read this quote about community.
Yeah.
So community is the heart of keeping each other awake. Is the process of reminding one another that there is a bigger and better story at work at all times, a redemptive and hopeful story, a narrative whose author isn't fear. And it's true. I feel like my job as your friend is to keep you awake, to squeeze your hand and tell you that I love you and that I'm proud of you when perhaps you feel a little bit down. Or to squeeze your hand and tell you, Tale, go have fun, because it's time to have fun. And that is the kind of conversations that I feel we are being invited to cultivate.
Yeah.
And we want to kind of like wrap up season 1 with gratitude, with thankfulness. But also we are going to invite each other to pause, to take time to breathe in, and to be present with God and listen. So that when we talk to each other, we are overflowing with His words, and we can see each other with His eyes because we've been with Him.
Yeah.
And yeah. So
I love that. Yeah. It's really beautiful that all of the words you said, but that last piece in that community phrasing of like moving forward without fear. And it's just so important when we live in a world that is going so fast.
yes.
Oftentimes we can feel like if I slow down, I'm going to miss out. If I say no to these things, or if I pause for a moment, I'm going to miss these opportunities. We feel like things are just rushing ahead of us. And so we rush along and we fill up our plates, and we don't say no to anything, right? We just keep saying yes and yes and yes until we burn out. But moving forward without fear is knowing that we can move forward and we can create a way that doesn't necessarily have to look like the way that everyone else is doing it. And it's okay. It's okay. And it's okay to pause. It's actually really important to pause and to slow down. So, yeah, as we wrap up this season, we want to invite you also to take stock of your world and your life and what's going on, and notice what's happening within yourself at a spirit level, at a soul level, at a body level, because every part of you wants you to succeed, and oftentimes our body will whisper to us, it's time to slow down, or you're tired, whatever it is. So we want to invite you to pause and to cultivate that intentionality in your life, and know that it's okay. It's okay to pause, to listen, to adjust your life to the rhythm of what's going on. If that means putting some things down for a season, put them down. If your heart's pulling you to be available, be available. Yeah.
I think that's one of the most precious invitations. If you feel like in your family, at work, perhaps it's a dream, you feel like there is a little pull to be present, to be available. Don't miss it, because life is beautiful and is rich, and these invitations, they are where we get so much emotion from. Like they, when we allow ourselves to be available and present, we allow ourselves to be there. And I feel like you and I need to be loved. We are always doing, we're always producing, we're always getting something put together. But a lot of the time, the best thing we can put together is just our eyes together, our heart together. Gather yourself and let yourself be loved.
Yeah.
And yeah, allow, space. I was sharing with Tale how, like, if I didn't take time to pause and to stop, I would have just like got this plate filled with more, because that's what we do. We just fill it up. And then when something comes up and something happens, we just go like, oh yeah, fine. We just add more. And then we try to jiggle with everything. And we don't give ourselves to anything. And life, we're not created that way. There is so much we can handle. We can't do too much and be in it. And I feel like that is something that Tale and I are learning. And we talk about intentionality. We want to practice that.
Yeah. Yeah. There's this one picture that really, I guess, ties together or creates an image of what we're talking about. And it's that I watched this documentary just last night about the Bulgari Hotel in Italy. And it was this massive restoration property. It's this luxury building. And they had artisans from all around Italy handcraft the wallpaper, the mosaics, the tapestries, the fabric. Like there was no expense spared. And what caught my attention was how much time was being invested in each small piece, and there was in one piece they were showing us the people that made the bricks for the patio, and they said, so what it looked like was they mixed some dirt and some water together, put it in a mold, and then smush it together and then dump it out on the floor so it dries, right? Just looks like a very simple process.
Right.
And then they said the apprenticeship to be a brick maker was 7 years long. Just blew my mind. Just absolutely blew my mind, because I looked at what they were doing and went, oh yeah, I could learn that in an afternoon.
I didn't even know there was a label to be called brick maker. Let's just start with that.
Yeah.
7 years.
7 years to learn how to mix some dirt and water together.
Wow.
Smush it into a mold and tip it onto the ground so that it can dry. So that time, that is an art, that's a craft, that's a time that it takes to learn a skill, to go deep in something, to become an expert, to become refined in these things. And I feel like that paints the picture of exactly what, the intention of our heart is with our lives, and also the intention of the pause that we're going into with Cultivating Clarity is this opportunity to go deeper and to be available for life, and to catch the pieces that we've been talking about and let them just permeate, just let them refine, ferment, get more potent.
Yeah.
And so it's been a joy to do season 1 and to have these rich conversations with you, my sweet friend. And I look forward to whatever the future looks like as well.
That I keep saying to myself is, words are expensive.
Yeah.
The ones that you keep, the ones that kind of pierce your heart, they are expensive, they are costly. And I would love to be able to have a friend that helps me, that sees the value, and that also helps me pay the price. You know what I mean? That helps me draw them out.
Yeah.
And I that's what I'm looking forward to. That's my hopes for season 2 or series 2, whatever we want to call it, whenever we do a little comeback.
Yeah.
But you are so precious, Tale. And this space that we have is priceless. And I'm really looking forward to see where we're gonna go. And we were looking at 2 analogies from the Bible today, where we were talking about the disciples that fell asleep.
Yeah.
When the Lord went to the Garden of Gethsemane. And then we were talking about the virgins, where there were some of them that fell asleep and some of them were ready with their oil. And you and I were saying to each other, we want to be a friend that keeps each other awake.
Yeah.
And so I want to be that for you, and I want to be that for anybody that wants to listen.
Yeah, and that's our heart, that we are that for our community and you guys that have been listening and journeying with us. So we just release love over you, we release peace over you and over your lives and over this season.
Yes.
And great rest and great clarity. Breathe in, know that you are loved, and rest in that. Notice the beauty around you.
Thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.